Hi, my name is Jesse Cullen. I'm the VP of University Affairs at the Student Association at Durham College and UOIT. I also am a community organizer, I like to think, at least by trade. So I get paid to represent students, but I think the student struggle is a much broader struggle that encompasses social justice, economic justice, and of course environmental justice. So I'm here not only as a student, but I'm here as a community member, as someone who grew up in Oshawa. And I'm here because I care about our community and I care about the future of our country. As many of you who know me in the crowd, when I can't go anywhere without bragging about my 5-month-old daughter at home, but it really brings into focus why we do these things and why we come together for town halls and why we canvass and why we participate in the democratic process and why we're in unions and why we care about the issues that we care about. Knowing I'm going to leave the world to this young 5-month-old. It's a frightening, but also tends to really focus your energies on what's really important. So any time I spend away from her tonight with a babysitter at home, I know is being put to good use because we're all coming together for a common cause. I'm going to borrow a few pieces tonight from other speakers. Myself and about 30 other students from UOIT and Durham College went to the PowerShift conference about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to borrow some ideas and things I heard from them at that conference, such as Gabrielle Nadeau-Boudoir from the Quebec student movement as well. And I'm a French Canadian. I totally messed up the pronunciation, so forgive me. So just bear with me as I kind of accumulate other people's thoughts and kind of give you what I think about the Ontario Common Front, where we're going as a movement, and what we need to do to continue our efforts. So, of course, we know that there's a sustained attack on our economic and democratic rights right now. There's from the public sector workers with Air Canada, postal workers, teachers. We have the bailouts that force concessions from our auto industry and our workers who work so hard in those industries as well. The St. Mary's Cement. We had Caterpillar's electromotive workers. We've seen a sustained attack on workers in this province and across the country. We've seen an attack on students through increasing student debt and ever-increasing tuition fees, straggling folks like myself with upwards of $40,000 in debt when they graduate from their post-secondary education. This is a debt sentence, right? This is a small down payment or a down payment on a house. This is a small mortgage we're talking about. This is restricting people from being the type of people they want to be when they graduate. Instead of buying a house or starting a family, they're going to have to worry about 10 to 15 years of debt payments before they can even get out from under that rock. So we're really attacking our youth here. And some of these same graduates, I was on the line with some of the support staff workers that were striking last year at our Durham College. And I found that many of the workers who were on that picket line were Durham College graduates. These are naturally aligned here. We can't pretend we all live in isolation and be separate in our separate silos here. The graduates from Durham College went on to be the workers who were then on strike at our campus. So there are natural allegiances here. We need to, I think as young people, it's incumbent upon us to start recognizing those natural allegiances, but it's also incumbent upon generations before us to start engaging youth. I think there's a few young people in the crowd tonight, but we really need to engage youth. When I ran for Oshawa City Council in 2010, myself and current councillor in England went and door-knocked in a student housing neighborhood the night before the election. And I did an unofficial, unscientific poll, and I asked, how many candidates have been to your door? And of course, if anyone knows the last election, there were like 29 or 30 candidates in that election. They said we were the first ones there. Now, in my mother's neighborhood in North End, she would get at least 2 pieces of literature from every party, a door knocker, they get the ads in the paper they read. They have several points of contact with people who engage in the political process, but students, 0. And then people blame students for not voting. Well, it's like the chicken and the egg. Sometimes someone's got to take responsibility and own up and say we need to start engaging youth. So we see a sustained attack on youth as well. We're also seeing an attack on the poor, cuts to social services, EI, pensions, and this is at all levels of government. We've seen even here in our own municipality, we've seen surcharges for young people to go do recreational, seniors, senior centers. This is a sustained attack on the most economically disadvantaged among us. We see attack on our democracy. And this is at provincial and federal level. We have these false majorities where under 40% of the voting public support a party, and they have a virtual kingship or a monarchy for 4 years. And we call ourselves a democracy. These are all intertwined. We have to start connecting these dots, right? Harper Conservatives aren't the first false majority in Canadian history. The Liberals under Chrétien and Martin also had under 40% of the vote for the 13 years they were in power. If you calculate how many people who are actually eligible to vote, it's less than even 25%. So 25% of our population is dictating to the rest of us 80%. the kind of policies that our governments are implementing. We're one of the only 3 last modern democracies in the world to still use first-past-the-post electoral system. Right? We don't have proportional representation in what we're supposed to be a shining beacon light of democracy in the world, and I think that's a shame. So what I'm trying to get at here is that it's the system. This isn't just about one person or one party or one corporation. This is the system we're living under. And we can't pretend that these things happen in isolation. Corporate oligarchs, I'm going to use strong language. I don't think I'm using hyperbole here, but corporate oligarchs use political parties and corporations as proxies for economic and social control. These are the same people who are raising your tuition. They're the same people who are influencing political parties, the same people exploiting natural resources, leading us to environmental, social, and economic ruin. These are the same people. It's not just Stephen Harper. It's not just Dalton McGuinty. These are proxies for a larger game that's on play here. And if we don't recognize that, we're doing ourselves a disservice. Michael Parenti, who's another favorite author and academic that I follow quite often, he says we're always as a society, and this is the neoliberal discourse, right? We're always as a society so eager to assign intent to unions or teachers, or you've heard these slogans in the media. Those unions are just out for themselves, or those Quebec students just want more and more. They're so spoiled. But as soon as we assign intent to the ruling class, we're called conspiracy theorists. Immediately invoked is this, very easily dismissed. Oh, these capitalists are sitting in some room somewhere, developing a plan to take over the world. Well, of course they're sitting in a room. Where else are they sitting? Right? They're sitting in a room talking about a strategy to maintain their position within our society. Why do we so eager to assign intent to unions, but we don't, or working people, but we act as if the people who actually control things are just benign. They just got there by chance. They didn't mean to do it. They just happened to be there. Of course they're trying to do something. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is a conspiracy. We need to start recognizing this. And of course, what this is a neo-colonization and corporatization of everything around us. It's a colonization of our minds. We don't have the language to articulate our struggle as people. Our language is co-opted by the corporate agenda. We can't use the master's tools to dismantle the master's house. We need to develop a people's language and a people's discourse to overcome these issues. And we need to start recognizing this. And they're going to hammer home on this. And call me a radical if you want, but I don't care, because it's the truth. All the things mentioned above, attacks on workers, students, the poor, are all multi-layered. They're compounded with issues such as gender, race, class, ability, etc. I'll give you an example in context of students. There's a thing that Canadian Federation students like to call the racialization of tuition fees. We know that people from racialized communities spend a higher proportion of their income on their education than people who are from non-racialized communities. This is a fact. We can't ignore these things. We can't pretend as if these gender and race and class issues don't exist, because the more we do that, the more we pretend that it doesn't exist, the more we reproduce the same type of inequality and oppression that we've all experienced. And we need to start drawing parallels and build those coalitions between different groups within our society. We're never going to get anywhere. So this is what we must do. Again, it's not enough to blame Harper or McGuinty or lie to ourselves that if we just elect a different party, something's going to change. I'm a proud New Democrat. I'm the student rep with the Oshawa NDP. But guess what? Thomas Mulcair received donations from Barrett Gold in his leadership race. Okay, Barrett Gold. Since when does the NDP accept donations from Barrett Gold, major industrialists? We have to work with parties who are willing to work with us, but we should not be beholden to any one party, because then we're being intellectually dishonest with ourselves. It's not just Caterpillar. It's not just stopping cuts to social services. It's not just about tuition fees. It's not just about climate change. It's about the system. We need to organize, and Jim talked about ideas and strategies to move forward. So we need to organize block by city block. We need to connect the dots with our fellow peers and citizens. We need to work with parties, again, who will work with us but not be beholden to any one party. We need to build a diverse, vibrant social movement, one that names capitalism and the system of control and domination as the root of the problem. We need to democratize the workplace. We need to democratize the workplace because it's the only last widely accepted and even celebrated dictatorship in our society. We somehow walk in the workplace and we throw away our economic and democratic rights that we so hold dearly and take orders from a dictator in the workplace. Why can't we have worker control, community control over resources, our employment? These things are what we need to employ as strategies. We need to work together to achieve them. This needs to change. We need to organize students and young people. We need to unlearn the language and the discourse of the elite and build alternatives to their systems. This is hard work. It's going to take years, maybe even decades to achieve, but we don't have a choice. Now is our chance. Now is our opportunity. Let's start the work of liberation today. Thank you very much.